I was halfway through my second cup of coffee when my phone buzzed. I didn't recognize the number at first, but the moment I opened it, my stomach sank. It was her. Spending the night at a coworker's. Don't wait up. No explanation, no preamble, just that. The words felt like ice sliding down my spine, and I stared at the screen, numb, rereading them as if some hidden punctuation or emoji might soften the blow. But there was nothing. I texted back immediately, trying to ignore the tremor in my hands. Who? Why? No reply. That was the start of a night that would unravel everything I thought I knew. At first, I questioned myself. Had I done something wrong? Was this my fault? My mind circled, trying to find a logical explanation. But even as I wrestled with guilt, a quiet, gnawing suspicion crept in, impossible to shake. She had been different for weeks. Late nights at work that didn't add up, vague stories about meetings that suddenly popped up, and a phone that never left her side. Calls went unanswered when she was near me. Notifications silenced in ways that felt deliberate. I tried to chalk it up to stress, to the grind of her job. But deep down, I felt the tiny fractures forming in the foundation of our marriage. I remember pacing the kitchen that night, the floor cold beneath my bare feet, my chest tight. I wanted to believe she would come home soon, that this was some harmless, necessary detour. But the longer she stayed away, the heavier the doubt became. Hours ticked by, and my mind went through a loop of worst-case scenarios. Every memory of her smile, her laugh, the way she used to curl into my shoulder now felt like a lie. It was almost midnight when I noticed her phone buzzing faintly in the living room, forgotten, or perhaps deliberately left behind. My heart pounded as I picked it up, an instinct I immediately regretted. Messages, one after another, from a coworker named Mark, flirty, intimate, casual in a way that made my chest tighten with each line. Wish you were here. Can't wait to see you later. I hate that you're leaving so soon. I dropped the phone, the plastic hitting the counter like a gunshot in the silence. I didn't cry. I just felt hollow, as if someone had taken all the air out of the room. Every memory of our life together, laughing over breakfast, late night talks, the comfort of her hand in mine, was suddenly layered with doubt and betrayal. I wanted to scream at her, to demand answers, but I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. When she finally came home, the guilt on her face was immediate, a shadow that flickered and didn't hide her shame. She opened her mouth, probably rehearsed 100 excuses, but the words faltered. I looked at her, not the woman I had married, but someone I barely recognized, someone who had shattered trust with a casual message. I didn't mean for it to happen, she whispered, eyes glistening, voice trembling. It got out of hand. I'm so sorry. I wanted to ask why, to demand every detail, to claw out the answers from the dark corners of her lies. But instead, I just felt the heat of my own anger, the raw ache of love twisted into betrayal. You should have thought about us before texting him, I said quietly, each word heavy with disbelief. You should have thought about me. She sank to the couch, burying her face in her hands. I could see the tears, the regret, the gnawing guilt eating her alive, but that didn't erase what she had done. I left the room for a while, just to breathe, to try and separate myself from the visceral pain. Every corner of our apartment felt tainted with memories I now feared were lies. I ran my hands along the edge of the counter, traced the faint scratches on the table where we had fought so many silly fights before, wondering how anything could survive this. When I returned, she was still there, quiet, broken. We sat in silence for what felt like hours, the weight of betrayal pressing down on us both. She tried to reach for me, words tumbling in apologies, but I pulled back. This wasn't something that could be fixed with "I'm sorry." Trust once shattered cannot be glued together with remorse alone. I remember thinking about our life together. The laughter, the late-night coffee, the small, intimate gestures that had built this fragile bond. Those moments now stung like acid, proof of a love that could be broken so easily. And yet, I also realized something crucial. Love, yes, but self-respect mattered more. I couldn't let this betrayal define me, or let it dictate the remainder of my life. In the end, we talked for hours, not to reconcile, but to understand, to lay bare the truth. She confessed everything, her voice raw with shame. I listened, silent, not out of forgiveness, but out of necessity, to know, to reclaim some fragment of control over my own heart. And when she finally left the apartment the next morning, I didn't follow. I didn't beg. I didn't cry. I just closed the door, feeling the quiet strength of a man who had loved deeply, suffered, and survived. It hurt like hell. It still does sometimes, but I learned that betrayal can't take everything. It can't erase your worth or your ability to rebuild. That night, I understood that love is not enough if it's not paired with respect, honesty, and integrity. And as I sat alone, drinking my cold coffee, I realized I was still here, still breathing, still capable of living. And that's how you start over.